Welcome, everyone, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. I'm Ginny Sanders, also known as Ginny Almighty, and I'll be with you for this next 2 hours on, I think, is one of the best talk radio programs in the United States that's available on Internet, Sirius, your local AM, FM, and the reason why is because it's the only 2 hours that I know of that feature Dr. Carolyn Dean. And ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time to call into the show, you are into a treat tonight because there's nothing like Dr. Dean on the face of this earth. I am serious as a heart attack when I say that this gal has just knocked it out of the park on so many levels for understanding natural medicine, understanding allopathic medicine, understanding the merger of those two, the appropriate ratios in between the two, and coming up with a perfect opportunity for you to have the best of both worlds, to be able to correct and sustain your health and prevent disease using natural formulas, natural strategies. And we're talking the whole gamut. We're talking you want to talk about like the old doctor's bag? We're talking about everything in that bag. We're talking about natural medicine. We're talking about homeopathy. We're talking about herbs. We're talking about all kinds of strategies. We're talking about structural and functional corrections through chiropractic, through Egoscue towers. I mean, Dr. Dean has so many tricks in that bag. And then on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, she's a brilliant doctor, a very good doctor in her own right, having accomplished very much in a classical way, always leaning toward that natural medicine side, but really having a firm grasp of what's going on in the world of medicine in general, at the scientific level, at the research level, at the practical application level, in those surgery rooms, what's happening in the ER. Dr. Dean has her finger on the pulse of all of it. And so tonight, when you talk with her, you are really talking to the wisdom of the ages. 35 years of being a leader in her field, 35 years of leading movements like the Health Freedom Movement in the United States, 35 years of being on top of what's happening at the FDA level, 35 years of being on top of what's happening at the national levels and the international levels of research. You've got a power-packed 2 hours in front of you. I'm so pleased to be associated with her in business and through our radio connection. And of course, again, we have so many options for our first-time listeners. Just to tell you, this is a talk radio show. So Dr. Dean's going to be talking, but we want you to talk too. You can talk to us through the chat line feature that's here at the radio station. You can talk to us by in-quick messaging through Achieve radio station. And you can also talk to us by calling in at 602-666-6027. And again, for those who are calling in for the first time, a transcript of the show is always provided at the end of this week. It'll be sent out through our email list, so make sure you're subscribed. You can subscribe to our email at rnareset.com or at drcarolyndeanlive.com. Either place has an opportunity for you to do that. So without further ado, let us bring on the power player of the hour, Power with Dr. Dean. Welcome, everybody, Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Yay, thank you, Ginny. As Ginny says, the worst is over. You are here and we are in your presence, and we want to inform you. We're not going to take responsibility for your health. We're not going to be your doctor. We're not going to be your mother. We're going to kind of be an educator. That's what we do. Our customer service people are constantly educating, and we want you to be educated enough so that you can take responsibility for your health. And we're going to launch right into today's blog that Ginny put out. It's called Magnesium Testing, Determining Nutritional Deficiencies. Now, just to show that Ginny, Chad, and I all share the same brain, what Chad put up today at RNA Reset at our product website, it's a magnesium deficiency assessment. You can scroll down to the bottom of our RNA Reset website and find this assessment to help you determine whether or not you're magnesium deficient. And it's a great way to start this show, because what happens is if you think that you can only find out about your magnesium by doing a magnesium blood test, and you're not going to be happy often with the results because the testing is deficient. Basically, I'm not in favor of many medical tests at all because they can be inaccurate. We've got a science of medical testing, and I came across this quote that I say every once in a while, that the scientist rigorously defends his or her right to be ignorant of almost everything except his or her specialty. So we've got the science of testing, which just won't let go of the fact that they think that serum magnesium is the only viable test for magnesium. This is not true. Let me just go through the blog, but if you're distracted by going to the RNA website and looking at the magnesium deficiency assessment, that's fine. You can go ahead and do that and let us know in the chat what you think of it. A lot of you already know what your magnesium deficiency symptoms are, and you're using those symptoms to gauge your intake, and that's what we're trying to get people to be educated about, is how to determine your own magnesium deficiency symptoms and take enough REMAG in order to solve those problems. So in the blog, which you can find at drcarolyndeanlive.com right at the top, Ginny and I start with, I don't necessarily think a person needs to have their magnesium levels tested before taking magnesium. It's a very safe mineral that does not build up in the body. If you take, quote, too much magnesium, you will get the laxative effect that eliminates the excess. Now, just a sidebar caveat on that is you can take 3 teaspoons of REMAG and get the laxative effect because you overwhelm the body's cells' ability to absorb all that magnesium at once. So we're talking about taking REMAG properly, which is putting it in water, sipping it through the day, and saturating your cells gently, not flooding 1 or 2 doses a day. And that will get people into sometimes a laxative effect, and very often you'll lose more in your urine and won't have it in your cells. Back to the blog. Sometimes our customers report that they have asked their doctor if they can take magnesium. The doctor just says no, mostly because they don't know the benefits or how to recommend a particular dose or type. But sometimes the doctor will say, okay, and we'll do a standard serum magnesium test, which usually turns up normal, and then they'll retract the recommendation to take magnesium because their test is normal. So let's go over this normal, a.k.a. the range that the doctors are talking about. Serum magnesium is a very inaccurate measurement of the magnesium in the body. Magnesium in the bloodstream measures only 1% of the total body magnesium. The range is, Ginny has 1.8 to 3.6, but it's more like 1.8 to 2.2 or 2.3. Very tight, narrow range. And when serum magnesium drops, mechanisms in the body push the levels of magnesium up by dragging it out of the bones and muscles where there's some storage. This is done for a very important reason. The heart muscle requires a constant level of magnesium or it will go into spasm, which is a heart attack. A somewhat better test is the magnesium RBC test, magnesium red blood cell test. It may measure about 40% of the body's total magnesium. However, the decision to measure red blood cells was not smart because red blood cells do not have mitochondria, and it's in the mitochondria that magnesium comes into play in 6 of the 8 steps of the Krebs cycle that makes our energy. 6 of the 8 steps of the Krebs cycle require magnesium, so that's where the magnesium is going to be, in cells that have mitochondria. Red blood cells don't have mitochondria. So, we have this another inaccurate but a little better measure. The magnesium RBC range is 4.2 to 6.8. Now, when I first started looking at magnesium RBC several years ago, what is it that's happened? Yeah, that was the range several years ago, 4.2 to 6.8. Now the range is 3.8 to 6.2. They've dropped the range as the population gets more magnesium deficient, because a medical blood test range is determined by the people that are taking the test in the lab. So the sick population is going into the lab, getting their magnesium tested, and as they get more and more deficient, the range goes down. So what I say is don't be fooled into thinking that if your level is 4.2 or 3.8, that you have enough magnesium. I recommend a range of 6 to 6.5, and that's because I want people to be up at the 80th percentile, because about 80% of the population is deficient in magnesium. So you don't want to be measured with those folks. So yeah, the next paragraph goes into the 3.8 business being the new norm or the new range. Being instructed to achieve magnesium saturation to counter magnesium deficiency is a very new and mostly unrecognized approach in allopathic medicine, and functional doctors aren't far behind. When magnesium is finally recommended, many are given the wrong forms of magnesium. Most people can't get enough magnesium to overcome their deficiency, and the magnesium drain or the magnesium burn from drugs, stress, and poor diet. If you do try to take saturation amounts of most magnesium products, you can get the laxative effect long before your symptoms clear. And that's why I created Remag, the non-laxative, fully absorbed magnesium. On the other hand, there are other situations where diagnostic tests can be beneficial, so we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And on the show tonight, we're going into this question, and there are some good questions that came in on the blog, so let me do those because I do have have a few kind of teaching cases that I want to go over regarding testing and the taking of magnesium. Okay, someone's asking, how many days prior to testing magnesium RBC should Remag be stopped? Now this, I've had different reports from different labs. Some labs say 12 hours, like an overnight fast. Some labs say a week. And I wrote back to that customer and said I wouldn't be able to try the week without magnesium. With the way I deplete magnesium, I waste magnesium. I need it every 12 hours. So the most I recommend is 12 hours. And the reason being, it's not like you have to deplete yourself of magnesium and see what's left. What you're doing with Remag is you're taking it every day. You're taking it throughout the day. You will always take Remag because the body's always going to need magnesium. So just stop for 12 hours before the test, and that will just sort of keep you from having taken a teaspoon and then having the blood test immediately, which could skew the results. And Heather asks as well, should Remite be stopped for a short time prior to routine chemical profile? I don't know that. I mean, the amounts in Remite are low potency. I don't really trust the mineral blood tests anyway to be accurate, so I haven't really assessed that. Probably just 12 hours overnight without having taken Remite is fine. Next question. Last December, my magnesium RBC test showed 5.5 at LabCorp. How much do I take? And when do I retest to get the 6.0 to 6.5? Well, what I'm saying today, tonight, always is go by your symptoms. An RBC test of 5.5, it's short of the 6.0 to 6.5, but you're not dragging on the bottom at 3.8 or 4.2, so that's good. It means your body is holding on to some magnesium, and you take magnesium to treat your magnesium deficiency symptoms. You could retest in 3 to 6 months, but what we have found is people who are very deficient, they'll take magnesium for a few months, and their RBC test may be even lower than when they started, and they kind of freak out a bit. But what I say is that magnesium is being directed into your cells now because you've started taking magnesium, you've opened up the 1,000 enzyme process that require magnesium, and your body is using it. It's not hanging around in your red blood cells where it really doesn't belong anyway. So you can do your test every 6 months if you want, but don't be surprised if the values don't really reflect what you think they should. Go by your symptoms. Question 3, do I need an MD to order RBC magnesium? No, Ginny, you can order it at, requesttest.com, requesttest.com. Next question, is there a way we can order magnesium test other than serum or RBC that's more accurate? Well, that's that is the ionized magnesium test. We're doing absorption studies to prove ionized magnesium is the test that people should use. We're trying to do public service with our university testing, and we'll keep you posted on that. But at this point, there are very few labs. They're only actually in the research facilities of universities, these labs that do ionized magnesium testing. But we hope to change that. Next question, this gentleman, Alan, says, actually, I get the laxative effect off and on 1 cap of Remag. The same happens when I take a 400 milligram gel magnesium. It isn't consistent, etc., etc. Does the laxative effect from Remag indicate that I'm saturated? I doubt it. But what do you think? Well, what's happening there, if, as you say, you're taking the 1 cap, it implies you're doing it all at once. And it may just be an overload at that moment in time for your body. And you just dump the rest. So do the experiment as we suggest. I think we even have it on our label. Put your cap of Remag in a liter of sea salted water and drink that through the day. And 1 cap is just a maintenance dose. Most people, they need the 2 to 4 teaspoons to get saturated and to relieve themselves of their symptoms. This last question. I took the RBC Mag test last week. My result was 5. The range was 4.2 to 6.8. For the last 8 months, I've been taking 1 teaspoon of Remag, which is a cap, and 3/4 teaspoons of Remag daily with a little sea salt in my water, and my AFib seems to have disappeared. I'm ecstatic, and my doctor can't believe it. Brother. Doctors that can't believe common sense, it's just, I just give up sometimes. I'm 76, this woman, Carolyn, says, and I've had AFib for many years. I had an ablation 3 years ago that didn't work. I'm so happy that I found your book and that your formulas are helping me. With that test result, do you think I'm getting enough magnesium? Well, with the 1 teaspoon a day, I don't think you're getting enough magnesium, Carolyn. I know that. The 5 is also shows, if we can trust the RBC magnesium, shows that, no, you're not near the 6.0 to 6.5. So it would be important for you probably to take at least 2 teaspoons to help saturate your cells. Okay, so another thing that Jenny and I have been looking into home health test kits, but they don't have magnesium, except, there is one that does. So we're actually working on looking at some testing. I know I said I don't believe in testing, but the fact of the matter is that I would believe more in testing if I and Ginny could be in control of the testing, knew the lab, knew exactly what's going on, so that we could discuss this with our customers. So we're looking into things in the meantime. Do that as magnesium assessment. It's magnesium deficiency assessment. Scroll down to the bottom of the RNAreset.com website and see what you come up with there. I'm going to break now for a couple of seconds, for a minute or two, to ask Ginny if I've covered everything before I go on to some other topics that do relate to what we're talking about. Ginny.
Yeah, I wanted to just ask you real quick, because I know that people, are so addicted to testing. What about things like, we didn't talk really about the hair analysis, if you could talk about that. And what do you think about the 23andMe genetic testing and those kinds of things, and maybe a little bit about EEGs or EKGs?
Right. Let me put that down. Hair analysis, 23andMe, and EKGs. Well, what EKGs, electrocardiograms, show to all of us is that the heart is electrical. Electrocardiogram will test the electrical conductivity of the heart, which means the electrolyte minerals are involved. And as I've said many times, the electrolytes are just not even do not even include magnesium in the standard panel. So they're really far away from making the importance of magnesium known in the functioning of the heart. So anyone listening here or getting answers from customer service, reading any one of my books is much more educated in mineral metabolism than doctors. So, why we would choose to believe a doctor about the state of our heart when they haven't had any experience with magnesium, the research on magnesium. The hair analysis, certainly when I was studying in my naturopathic courses, we learned about hair analysis. I knew the lab owner up in Toronto, got along with him, and he explained the deficiencies of the whole system. And I've never been comfortable with it other than for testing heavy metals. When I had my hair analysis done a few years ago to see if anything had changed, all my levels were all skewed all over the place because I was saturated with magnesium. So it threw off the, quote, norms or averages of that lab that's used to testing people who are deficient in magnesium, but they don't know how much it skews all the tests. To me, you have to be almost psychic to read a hair analysis these days. So with me having high magnesium, it threw off all the ratios and all the interpretations that could be said. And then, if someone is low in calcium on their hair analysis, they'll give dirt calcium and throw people into more magnesium deficiency. No, I'm not convinced that hair analyses are helpful. And then when they give supplements to people, if they aren't the stabilized ions that we have in our minerals, in the Remag, Remite, Pico Silver, and Recalcia, then they're just going to get all kinds of unnecessary buildup of minerals, especially calcium, and contribute to calcification. 23andMe, well, my thoughts on genetic testing are that we have not created all these supposed thousands of genetic mutations over the past few years. What they are is variations of genes and their nucleic acids. It's to me, it's just almost criminal to test people just without a reason. If you've got genetic disease in the family, yes, you would want to know that. But just for a lark to see what you find, you will find your brain just may not be able to handle the fact that you're told, well, you have 100 genetic abnormalities, and these are all the diseases you could get. Besides that, you have to sign a waiver that your blood and your DNA belongs to the lab. You sign a waiver that allows the various companies like 23andMe to market your blood to drug companies so that they can put you in clinical trials for your, quote, genetic abnormalities to see if you'd fit into a clinical trial or if you'd be willing to take a drug that they're using for your particular abnormality. It's really just a setup to keep us involved with medicine to as great extent as possible. So there.
Okay, very good. So there. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah,
okay.
I usually give you a better lead-in. Sorry.
That's okay. No problem. All right. Excellent. Okay, so we have a couple questions here on dosing, so we're going to take those. One coming in from Kathy. And, Kathy, you are welcome to call the show at 602-666-6027. She said she's kind of new to this, so she's not sure to call in. But really, honestly, just pick up the phone, call that number. And when you get in, hit *5 on your keypad, and then we'll know you're here to talk with Dr. Dean, and I'll take your phone off mute, and I can put you on the phone. But for the meantime, the question is, Carolyn, I've been on Remag for a month. Just did request a test, and it showed 6.2. Yet I have leg cramps now that I have never had before. I know now from listening tonight that I need more magnesium. Do I just add a teaspoon to each 16-ounce 2 to 3 times a day? So,
right. Well, see, this is, Kathy and listeners, this is why the RBC magnesium test doesn't make sense to me a lot of the time. 6.2, yeah, that looks pretty good, high normal. But more leg cramps means Kathy's been on it a month. She's stirred up her 1,000 enzyme systems and her 80% of metabolic function, and everything is tooting along and waking up. It's like an arm that falls asleep across a theater chair or whatever. And as the blood circulation improves, then it's tingling, and yes, things can get a little worse as they wake up. And yes, more than a teaspoon a day, and it could be 2 to 3 teaspoons. But like we say, Kathy, on our guidelines is just keep increasing by a quarter teaspoon every couple of days until your symptoms are really getting, disappearing, because insomnia, leg cramps, heart palpitations, they can take 1 to 3 months. So increase by a quarter teaspoon and maybe aim for 2.5 to 3 teaspoons a day. And think about looking at our other products too, in case you're also low on thyroid and adrenals, etc. Yeah, Ginny?
Okay, Kathy did call in. She's on the line now. Kathy, welcome. Did you hear Dr. Dean's instructions, and did you need to ask any more questions?
Yes, I did. Thank you so much for taking my call. And my question is, I heard how you said I should increase it. The other complicating factor is that I had ocular myasthenia gravis 23 years ago, and then it resurfaced under a lot of stress in January, and they put me on pyridoxine and some prednisone. And when I asked the neuromuscular doctor if I could take magnesium, she said no, it would interfere with the the muscle nerve connection at the synapse. And so I'm taking it because my intuitiveness told me that my body wants magnesium. But my question is, the fact that I never had leg cramps and now I have them, is it because, like you said, I opened up something?
Yes. Now, okay, the cramps, is there any weakness to the cramping, Kathy?
No weakness at all. I've only tested ocularly with this, and I do have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I also have the thyroid, underactive thyroid.
Right.
But
right.
I've never, whenever I'm tested, it's only with my eyes, with the double vision, and then it went to my throat a little bit. But now I'm just coming off the prednisone, so I didn't know if the prednisone was exacerbating it or what.
Right. Yeah, it's a little tricky, and I don't like to, be a doctor here about all this.
Sure.
What I know about myasthenia gravis is it can be like heavy metal poisoning that affects those nerve and muscle junctions, and I've seen people, slowly increase their Remag, also take the Remite for the thyroid and for, just for so many things throughout the body, but also our Realign. Realign is a gentle detoxifier. So if the MG is related to heavy metal toxicity, then you've got 3 things there that will help the underlying problem. And, the thing about magnesium and myasthenia gravis, and I do talk about it in Magnesium Miracle as one of the factors where you should not take magnesium. It was because people with myasthenia gravis, if they were given intravenous magnesium, it would slow things down even more and slow down the muscle function. So that was immediately like a big warning sign, and now nobody with myasthenia gravis can take magnesium. And it's very frustrating. And in terms of your leg cramps, it is almost like your legs are waking up. It's hard. When people get, I don't know if you've ever had, Kathy, little eye twitches, where the muscle in your eye jumps. Is that part of the ocular?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, it's like your leg muscles are jumping. And that's about as close as I can get to kind of explaining. Yeah.
I figured that must be it, because I do exercise a lot and I walk 3 and 4 miles a day, and I know I'm not drinking my half of my body weight, so I know that's an issue as well. So if I increase my liquids, and if I were to start on these other products, Dr. Dean, is there a protocol of easing into them like I do the Remag? I'll just read the directions.
Yeah. It's on the directions. We just say a 1/4 teaspoon. So just to finish up, Kathy, how much Remag are you on presently?
Well, I wrote to Ginny, and she said I'm way under, because you said to start slowly. So I've been on, for the month, I only take a 1/2 teaspoon and 16 ounces all day, for the day. And then she suggested I should do it 1.5, move it up to 1.5 teaspoons.
Right. And just do that slowly. But, you're just being cautious, and I totally agree. And if things have been stirred up by the 1/2 teaspoon, what I'd say about that is you're teasing your cells. It's like you're waving a little bit of Remag in front of them, and they're, give me more, you silly woman.
That's how it feels. That's why.
Right.
Okay. All right, good. Then I will increase it. Terrific. Wow.
Okay,
Thank you. I don't want to
great.
take any more of your time. I know you have a lot of people.
That's okay. No, it's a perfect question. I appreciate it. And just go slowly, and heaven forbid, if your ocular stuff acts up, then just ease, or stay there or ease back, because, your eyes are going to start healing as well.
I know. I can feel that they are. I really think it just came and went like it did 23 years ago. And it just is going back into remission. So I'm confident of that, and that's why I just want to get the rest of my, profile in a better, healthy place. So.
Yeah, and one last thing about the 23 years ago. Can you recall, would you have been getting mercury fillings either placed or taken out at that time?
Yes. In fact, I had spoken to a woman who did, and she had me had my hair tested. And she said, where's all this mercury coming from? So back then I had mercury poisoning. So maybe that's what caused the MG as well. So
right. That's my experience. So you will definitely want to have the Realign and the Remite and the Remag, because what the Remag is going to do is start opening up your detoxification pathways and start moving out that mercury.
Good. Well, I'm going to order it when I hang up. Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Dean. Take care.
Thank you, Kathy. Good speaking with you. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, excellent. Wonderful contribution. Yep, when you ask a question for yourself, you're asking it for everybody, because so many people learn from the questions that people do ask when they call in. Okay, another question we had, Carolyn, on the chat line, and we've got some other callers waiting, so we'll get to that too. I know you're there. But this is regarding what we're talking about, which is working with the proper dosing also for the magnesium and the minerals. Is Carol typing in and saying, can I just take Recalcia in one sitting by adding it to 4 ounces of water instead of sipping throughout the day? I'm not liking the taste of adding Recalcia to my Remag and Remite that I sip throughout the day in 1.5 liters of water.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I kind of feel the same way. I really do think you can take your Recalcia in one sitting. I do.
Yep, I do. I just knock it back. Yeah, I agree. Okay, and Carol,
I'm not going to go to phone calls, just so you know. Go ahead.
Yes, okay, very good. And Carol's typing in and asking this question. Would Pico Silver help with lichen sclerosis? I am concerned about my doctor prescribing clobestol. I am using Remag and Remite. What else can I do to avoid taking a prescription? I was just diagnosed. I'm not bothered with symptoms, but I'm afraid if I don't do something, it will get worse. I'm using Wise Woman Herbals all-purpose salve twice a day with the ingredients olive oil, beeswax, calendula, comfrey, vitamin E oil, and vitamin A oil. Any advice is appreciated.
Yeah, the Pico Silver, I would use that. I would spray it on and take 1 or 2 teaspoons orally. And, lichen sclerosis, does Carol say where it's located?
No, she didn't say in an area.
Okay, so try the Pico Silver, spraying it on once or twice a day, and then get back to us and let us know, because it can be an autoimmune thing. We may have to ask more questions, and hopefully you're working on all the products. Sometimes people will say sometimes that our Renew serum can be helpful for that type of condition. And then, on another level, if it's a conflict, that's where we bring in Dr. Holt to find out the total biology conflict that's having you put up this shield on your skin.
Very good. Excellent. Yeah, I think Pico Silver is just amazing for the skin. I don't know if the people remember from way back in the day that when people had severe burns, that this is what they used as an antibacterial, and they still use it in burn wards, silver as a treatment. It is incredible what it does for the healing of the skin. I mean, it's just amazing the way it works. So I hope that turns out to be a very beneficial, testimonial kind of response for you. Okay, let's see. Nancy typed in, too, on your comments, Carolyn, on the testing blog, and she says, people rely on tests so much because of being conditioned by the medical profession. But if people took the time to read some of Dr. Dean's research, studies, and findings and not be afraid to use their common sense, they would find that they can truly help themselves based on their own symptomology. Very, very nicely stated, Nancy. Very, very sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, Carolyn, you have an important agenda. We are pressing on. What else shall we do?
Right. So here's a couple of cases I wanted to go over. I have the title here, The Moral of This Blog and the Questions. So the moral of testing, etc. It's better to pay attention to symptoms than testing. And that's what Nancy just confirmed. Basically, you have to depend on your own unique magnesium deficiency symptoms and adjust your dosage accordingly. Here's an example of not paying attention. A few days ago, a friend said she was getting over a migraine. I asked her if she took extra Remag. She said she did, but wished it would work faster. She said her migraine was not as bad as it used to be. She was still able to function and wasn't laid up in bed. Now, here's the whole story. The night before the migraine, she was at a party and ate food she was allergic to, including gluten. She's also on a medication, and she's only on 1 teaspoon of Remag a day. And the moral of the story is she set herself up to fail. Remag is not a drug that's supposed to swoop in and cure you at a moment's notice. The whole premise of taking Remag is to get yourself saturated so that 80% of your known metabolic functions are humming along nicely. Then, when you do, quote, the experiment by going off your diet, etc., 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 you should not suffer. But you should also not think you can do this every day without consequences. You have to take responsibility for your own health and follow your magnesium deficiency symptoms and make sure you're saturated before saying Remag isn't working or before running off looking for other supplements. So anybody, maintenance dose, yes, we have to say it on the label that it's 1 teaspoon a day. And I personally have graduated to maintenance, although the minute I have extra stress, if I were on a drug, if I were traveling, I would be on more Remag. It's something that you have to have foremost in your mind, pretty much all the time. So that's sort of that overview. Ginny, anything about that? I want to go into now kind of a teaching story. So anything about to say about what I just shared?
Nope. That was crystal clear.
Hey, Carolyn.
Yeah.
You say you got to keep focus in your mind on the magnesium. Yes, do that.
On the Remag, Bob.
On the Remag.
Okay.
Yeah, on the Remag.
Right.
I think I named it Remag, didn't I? Anyways, that's an antidote for the mind's gossip. So if you're gossiping, you're forgetting to talk and think about Remag.
Okay, Bob.
Thank you.
Yeah, parties are hard. Parties are very hard because, there's all kinds of things there that in the moment you're going to indulge in, and then the next day you're going to feel it and suffer. And that's why we call it the experiment. You do the experiment and then you learn from it. But if you had your Remag saturated, then I think most of the time people can get away with experimenting. So this teaching story, okay. I think it's Jane. Been a customer since March 2019. Now, that's only 6 months. So right there, we know that this person is not saturated. Talks about Jenny and customer service helping her so much. She's on 2 teaspoons Remag, 1 teaspoon Remite, 1 teaspoon Pico Silver, and a teaspoon of Himalayan salt in 64 ounces. She's also on RNA Reset Drops, Realign, Blue Ice Royal, and Remag Lotion. So it's awesome. Okay, I suffer severe neuropathy, fingers, hands, arms, from 2 neck disc surgeries. She's got neck and shoulder pain, undiagnosed immune pain disorder, since 2004, causing total body pain, comes without warning. Besides being in constant pain, I'm tired all the time. So I'm pretty sure I answered her, and here are my answers. You must stop all sugar and simple white product carbs. Read my Sugar Without the Icing book. It's Sugar Causes and Worsens Neuropathy. That's it. Number one, stop all sugar. She says, I've received some relief from your program thus far and will continue on it indefinitely. I recognize due to all the anesthetics and additional surgeries, and I put in brackets, and medications, she's on half a dozen medications, that I'm immensely magnesium deficient. I'm beginning to feel better as a result of your program. I also realize that given the extent of my deficiency, it'll take time. So she's right. But then she asks, my friend's aunt is a holistic counselor and told her about my challenges. She suggested some supplements that I want to pass on to you. So this is exactly what happens. Somebody is on our program. They're not taking the maximum or saturation doses, and they think, well, what else can I do? So I say to her, as it's going through your mind too, that she needs more Remag. The first step in pain control is Remag saturation. I know you are 6 months into the protocol, but for my heart symptoms, it took 1.5 years to reach saturation, and I had to take 4 teaspoons of Remag a day. And all the meds you have to take will deplete your magnesium. So I told her to increase, told her exactly how, either 4 teaspoons of Remag liquid or substitute some Remag lotion. Remag lotion is 200 milligrams per teaspoon in the recipe, and Remag liquid is 300 milligrams. And I told her to get up to 1,200 milligrams of Remag a day. And I reinforced that 80% of known metabolic functions and 1,000 enzymes depend on magnesium. And then to balance out her Remite with 2 teaspoons a day. The supplements that she was told that she could use is N-acetylcysteine, acetyl L-carnitine, alpha-lipoic acid, and curcumin. So I said all these are anti-inflammatories and antioxidants, and magnesium is the best of all of them. So wait until you're on 4 teaspoons of Remag before adding anything else, and usually you don't have to. B complex with methylated B12 and folate were recommended. I say this describes our Realign, which you should be on, and she said she was on 2 capsules a day. She's also told to take omega-3, and she's on Blue Ice Royal, which has omega-3. And actually, I was updating the Restructure booklet, and there is omega-3 600 milligrams in serving of Restructure. The counselor added, if I could only do a few, it should be B complex, and N-acetylcysteine and curcumin. And she said, she's smart, she said, first I wondered how much I'm already getting of these when I'm taking yours. Sometimes it's difficult for a layperson to understand what all these supplements are for, and I'm already getting, if I'm already getting enough. So that's what I've been answering. And I said, correct, I've been at this for 50 years, and what is most important is the absorption factor of supplements. Remag and Remite are building blocks and cofactors for all metabolic processes, and they're fully absorbed. Realign is all methylated and food-based, and it's the only one of its kind. It also has 2 amino acids that are precursors to glutathione, the body's major detoxifier, and they support liver detoxification. And for all the meds that I said she was taking. And she even asked, are there times when magnesium is just not right for an individual? I said, I've never seen it. Usually, as in your case, it's just that you're not taking enough Remag. She says, my pain from autoimmune condition as well as my neuropathy has increased of late. Could magnesium be the culprit? And I said, not at all. It can be that the body is begging for more because all these new pathways have woken up, just as I said a moment ago to Kathy. Also look into yeast overgrowth as a cause of autoimmune disease. Read the Reset the Yeast Connection book. We also feel that restructuring RNA reset and extra lysine are especially healing and help build perfect cells. And I told her to watch the RNA Reset Drops webinar for the part about the radish experiment where the drops will activate your life force. Then she tells me about the drugs she's taking, a fluoride drug which will bind magnesium, pain pills, thyroid pills, sleeping pills. She did already stop the statin drugs, so that's great, an antidepressant. So I said hopefully these pills will be, you'll be able to wean off them when you're on saturation doses. She described all her surgeries, and I mean, the poor girl has been through so much. And what I said at the end, she just recently had an episode of shingles, which is a stress condition. I said Pico Silver oral and spraying on is very effective. And I would say, Jane, that the Pico Silver, I would be on 1 or 2 teaspoons a day of that, because in pain conditions, there can be subclinical infections that the Pico Silver will address. So that's Jane's. Now, I'll quickly do the rest because there's only about 3 minutes before the top of the hour. This is about Prolia. Prolia is a biologic. I've been talking about these biologics, complex drugs that they're foisting on people. And this Prolia is for osteoporosis. And it turns out, they say, oh, it's a new drug. You just inject it every 6 months. So it's a 6-month injection you put in your body of a monoclonal antibody, which they says is fully human, lab-produced antibody that inactivates the body's bone breakdown mechanism. It's the first biologic therapy to be approved for osteoporosis. Well, it targets osteoclasts just like Fosamax. Fosamax and Prolia kill osteoclasts, which, yes, they break down bone, but they also remodel and model bone. And when you don't have the bone modeling, it leads to brittle bones that break. And dentists refuse to work on women who are on Fosamax for fear they will damage the brittle jawbone. So Katie wrote that she's been given Prolia with disastrous effects. Constant pain, terrible balance, tremors, edema, to name a few. She says she's been on Remag and Remite for almost a week. She's sleeping better. Wanted to know other suggestions. I told her about Realign and Pico Silver. She says she's walking with a cane and can barely do anything. So that's Prolia. And in the second Prolia case, this came in after reading my blog on biologics. This customer says, I'm so thrilled to read this. I won't be taking Prolia anymore. I've been taking it for at least 2 years, and my balance has been so bad, I've had numerous falls. I even got a spinal fracture and herniated discs. My pain management doctor said my back was a mess. Been in so much pain for 3 years. So on and on and on, this poor woman going to rehab. So scary. My doctor says my bones are now very brittle and to be careful not to fall. I wonder if I can ever live on my own again. No more Prolia for me. I take so many drugs. I wonder what else I should not be taking. I've been taking the Remag, but not in rehab. Please advise. So she says I'm diabetic and I have celiac disease. Celiacs have trouble absorbing nutrients. So that's where the Remag and the Remite will be awesome, the Realign as well, the whole RNA reset protocol for you, Susan. So,
okay, excellent. Top of the hour, we'll be right back. Hour 2 coming right at you.
After this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
what city plays?
The old categories. They don't apply anymore. And we're just superhuman, discarnate things right now.
What city plays?
We're well beyond the categories for men and women right now. And we're just superhuman, discarnate things right now. Bring back the body. Give me body, body. Bring back the body. Give me body, body. I do advocate immediate fast to bring back the body. Give me body, body. Bring back the body. Give me body, body.
AchieveRadio.com.
Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. Here we go now. Here we go now. The wellness scene with Dr. D. Here we go now. Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. Wellness with Dr. D.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here at AchieveRadio.com. Once again, we appreciate you tuning in and also downloading the show throughout the week, those who are subscribed through iTunes, and you can also get us on Stitcher. Happy to have you as part of your podcast diet, your regular intake of very good scrummy things. And I think listening to Dr. Dean is one of the most scrummy things in the world because you always learn something. And what it does for me more than anything, every single time without fail or exception, is that it does remind me of the intelligence of the body, and that if you do give it the basic building blocks, it is going to perform for you. Its impulse is for life. And it is going to balance itself. It is going to heal itself. It is going to correct itself. And cooperation and gratitude are definitely the keys. And Dr. Dean is all about teaching everybody how to do that. We welcome you back with Dr. Dean. If you're listening through our archives and you have a question or follow-up, something, information you want to get about the show, you can email questions, questions, at drcarolyndeanlive.com. That's our radio show archive. You can also go there and find out all kinds of good information to drcarolyndeanlive.com. We've got archives. We've got all kinds of webinars. We've got links to stuff. We've got all of Dr. Dean's free books, which are constantly being updated. They're like her little children. They're labors of her love. She's constantly rustling through their little pages and looking for things to more information to give you, more little tidbits of things that she knows. And it's just a generous serving of her incredible wisdom. So feel free to join us there at any time. Okay, Carolyn, welcome back. Hour 2.
Thanks.
I think we have callers holding. Oh, maybe we lost our callers that were holding. We'll find out.
Here's what I want to say. I want to say this. Bob, Bob got very excited during the break. He was jumping around, leaping around. He said, Remag is huge. He says it's huger than than anybody can imagine. And people don't seem to understand that. I mean, we talk about it, but Bob just wants to scream off the rooftops that it's huger than any other supplement. And I say, yeah, well, we say 80% of no metabolic functions and 1,000 enzyme processes. He said people still aren't getting it. How can we get people to get it, Ginny?
Well, here's the thing, and I think that Bob is a master at defining why people are skeptical. And in the information overload world, people have been told so much about so many miraculous things, and I run into the skepticism on the time on, I'm a moderator on all of our Facebook pages, and people are just constantly, they're afraid of being disappointed. They're afraid of letting go. They're afraid of trusting something, and that's why I think having you out on Monday nights is just so important for people to build their trust and confidence that there is somebody out there who authentically has, the pure motivation of the heart that you have for, correct, appropriate, common sense, wisdom, application, and achieving that true breakthrough and giving them their power back and their health. I mean, Remag as a supplement is, phenomenal in the way that it's been designed and constructed and the way that it operates in the body. But, Remag has to have Dr. Dean behind it, really, letting people know what it does do. And we saw that at the NIH, even just the overwhelming comprehensive nature of magnesium. And, of course, we talk about metabolic functions, but the role of magnesium in RNA, DNA transcription is very important. I mean, there's just no end to what it can do. So I do agree with Bob. It's absolutely huge, and I do agree that we have to overcome a wall of skepticism. And I really wish that people were more willing to be proactively optimistic. But as you said many times, Remag is a biological imperative and does not require belief in order to be effective in the body. It's not like a placebo. Right. You don't have to add anything to it. It's just going to do its magic. So, I think our best salespeople also, too, are our customers. I mean, there's nothing more than having the compelling testimony of somebody whose health has been transformed by the product. And we have lots of people who share the good word. Our customers are fantastic advocates for this product. So we thank and bless you all in joining us to get the word out there. Absolutely.
Well, you're reminding me of the NIH conference. I don't know if we shared this before, but the first day that was on my birthday. So, Ginny, I thought it was pretty awesome that here we were at the NIH, and we were using the NIH building. It was a conference put on by an organization. It wasn't the NIH, but Mike Leonardo, who heads up, is he the immune guy? Gosh, he's the head of some...
yes, he is. He's the national director for immunology and immune research at the NIH.
Right. And my notes here, I've got, this is where we found the Workinger paper, Workinger paper, and he's the one that has 80% of known metabolic functions. 60% of adults do not achieve the average dietary intake, et cetera, et cetera. And then we've got papers and presentations. Magnesium deficiency enhances oxidative stress and migratory potential of colon cancer cells. And Leonardo, magnesium regulation of the immune response. Magnesium deficiency states related to chronic Epstein-Barr infection. And this medical medium guy that everybody's all hot on, he's talking about Epstein-Barr infection is the underlying cause of everything. Well, look at this. Magnesium deficiency causes a person to have Epstein-Barr. So it's not a matter of attacking your Epstein-Barr. It's a matter of, well, using your Pico Silver for Epstein-Barr, but also getting your magnesium. On and on and on. There's doctors who talked about every part of the body. Essential nutrients, magnesium, key to mitochondrial ATP production. That was our friend Andrew Rosenoff. It just never ended. The whole, whatever it was, 3 days was pretty awesome. So yes, this research or these researchers, they never get close to clinical applications. They get their funding, and we're aware of that with the research we're doing at a university. They are very interested in getting their funding and putting out the research, but it is not matched or married with clinical application. And I have heard from the researchers we're close to that I'm the only person that's out there discussing the clinical application of magnesium to humans. A lot of these studies, they'll kind of track back and present mice and rat studies to prove something, and we're just so far beyond that. It's just incredible. But anyway, thank you, Bob, for your passion about magnesium. I agree. Ginny agrees. Hopefully our customers are in agreement as well.
Well, they are, and it's funny because we sail through these things. It cracks me up every Monday night. Here's the one. First hour. Thank you so much for Remag. I've been taking a teaspoon a day and my heart palpitations are gone. I've had heart palpitations all my life. It's like we're so used to hearing that. Mm-hmm. But, Carolyn, you know what it's like to live under the fear of heart palpitations, even though for the most part they are not fatal. But it's just scary AF when something's messed up with your heart, and a person has to live with that for years, and now all of a sudden they don't have them anymore. I mean, it is truly extraordinary. So we kind of start to take it for granted.
Right. Yeah, but also who's jumped onto the heart palpitation bandwagon is the drug companies that are making blood thinners, and Apple with their iPhone. You wear it on your wrist, and they'll measure your palpitations and see whether or not you have AFib, send you to a doctor, so you'll be put on a half a dozen drugs. So we have this added kind of mandate that we try to get to people with magnesium, with Remag, before they end up on drugs. Most of the people we see are already on medications, already have had an ablation that failed. We were already too late. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. Yeah, I just saw the ad. It was funny for the Apple monitor thing just before I came upstairs to do the show. And yeah, it's like, well, AFib is the precursor to a heart attack, Dad. So you have to wear this thing. You have to be strapped into the chip body, just crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's very sad because as soon as they get on meds, then they're draining more magnesium, and they don't have a proper blood test to show that. And, back to the testing again. But
that's what you've just been talking about, the Apple thing. That's the tech body. That's a new term people got to realize. Mm-hmm. The tech body's turned on us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Bob. Okay, Ginny, what do we do next?
We'll put out a call for all of our wayward listeners who were hanging on the phone in the first hour. 602-666-6027 is the number to call. And if you do want to talk to Dr. Dean this evening, just hit *5 on your keypad. *5 is going to raise your hand and let me know you have a question or comment, and then I'll put you on the phone right away with Dr. Dean, and you guys can just chitty-chat to your little heart's content. And while we're waiting to see a show of hands for our callers, Carolyn, I will also say that I just really want to take a minute and recognize our great customer service team. Many people know and have figured out that I have stepped back a little bit from customer service. We have a great new customer service manager, Lisa Wright. She's doing an amazing job. And our team continues to just get 99, 100% satisfaction rates from our customers every single week. I mean, we just have an extraordinary team. All these people have been with us for many, 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 many years, many years. You're talking to an extremely experienced staff, very knowledgeable about Dr. Dean, thousands of hours of radio show and books and webinars and everything under their belt, and they really do know what they're talking about. So again, if you get stuck in any way, don't hesitate to reach out to the support staff at support@rnareset.com and let them help you. Okay, let's see where we're at. Waves of hands. Okay, nobody's raising their hand, Carolyn. I guess they're just all super excited to listen to you tonight.
Okay, here's one more testimonial. I just wanted to share some unexpected results. I'm a healthy 42-year-old woman. I've been using the magnesium and minerals in my morning smoothie, using your protein powder, and adding them both to my 64 ounces of water daily with the sea salt. Now my skin is amazing. I didn't expect this. The texture is that of a 20-ish-year-old, and I swear I'm looking younger in general. Amazing. My friend, same age, has started your thyroid protocol and reports feeling improvements. I hope to order Realign, Recalcium, and fish oil soon. Thank you, Lily. So that's another. People don't take our formulas for their skin, and yet they get that benefit. So that's pretty awesome. Thank you.
It is. It's really awesome. Really awesome.
Okay, so then what we'll do, since we're waiting for our callers to...
Oh, nope, we have hands. We have hands now. There they go. Everybody came. All right,
Okay.
Let's go to California area code 626. 626, you're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
My name is Rachel, and I know that you're trying to come out with a probiotic by the end of the year, I've been told. I was wondering if you've heard of Dr. Zach Bush and his probiotic.
Yes, Rachel, that's the one we're recommending in lieu of ours. So
Okay.
Ours will sort of, be a complement of what Zach's doing. So yes, you know it.
So if I think it's a wonderful, should I take both then?
No, I mean, you could take Restore. We do recommend it, and maybe when you finish your bottle and ours is out in the next couple of months, you could try ours and see how you feel on it. You could rotate them, but see, we've done the test trial on them. We had a lot of good response. We have our Catalyst product in there, the RNA Reset powder, which just seems to give this added life force to all our products. So we know it'll be the best one out there, but then you can take it and decide yourself, okay?
Now I have another question. I have always purchased colloidal silver from Nature's Sunshine Company, I think my bottle says 24 parts per million. How does that differ from yours? And I just ordered yours because I trust you, and I'm having great results with the Remag for my heart palpitations.
Wonderful. Well, what we did with the silver, Rachel, is we had the chemist create it the same way as the Remag and Remite, as a stabilized ion of silver. So when you look at the colloidal silvers under a microscope, you see particles. When you look at pico silver under an electron microscope, you don't see anything. So what's happened is by creating it in the minerals in an ionic form, they're much better absorbed and they're much more effective.
Okay, so recently I was bit by a spider this last weekend, pretty bad, and I used silver. I used silver first, and then I applied the essential oils, and I love my aloe vera plant, so I did that too. So would I say by buying this bottle, which is costing me more, I would use less silver.
Most likely, I think the way we equate it is like ours is 20 parts per million, Nature Sunshine 24, but it's more like the absorption is going to be 2 and 3 times more. But see, Rachel, you'll be the judge of it. If you use a product and it gives you this result, you do use another product and you get better or less results, then you'll be the first one to know, right?
My friend drank the silver and applied it 3 to 4 times a day, and the amputation for his foot was scheduled like 7 days later, and he was able to pull out of gangrene.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
and save his foot. It's I won't go out. I won't go anywhere without it. I carry it in my car in the glove compartment. I have it at home.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic product.
Yes, I did a little booklet on silver, and most of the applications for it came from our customer Joan up in Canada. She's in her mid-80s now, and she taught me to spray it into my sneakers, for Pete's sake, to stop foot odor, or just to save your shoes. I mean, she sprays it on her hands when she's out, and all the things where you would want a antimicrobial.
I had a friend that was spraying it up her mother's nose because she had the flu or cold, and I guess it lingered on for a little while, and she started seeing a difference in her memory loss.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really, really interesting. It's a fantastic product, just fantastic. All right, I'm looking forward to getting your product and using it, and thank you for all you do for all of us.
Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, let us know. We love comparisons, and we want to make our products the best they can possibly be.
Well, I want to know when you're going to come out with the CBD oil, the hemp, the cannabis, whatever they call all that, because everybody else is sure doing it, and I'm just teasing.
I know. Thank you. Yeah, we tend not to do what everybody else does because it's a distraction away from getting yourself saturated with the Remag by just treating symptoms. And some of this will come a cropper. They're only starting to do the studies on smoking the cannabis, and the tar gets in your lungs. It does cause a lot of side effects. They throw things on the market without really doing enough research. But anyway, thank you for calling in, Rachel. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, yeah, and Carolyn, we've talked about the CBD before. I mean, the other big thing is that there is no biological requirement for hemp, duh. And, it's like a lot of things that people are trying to do with these CBD oils is treat magnesium deficiency.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and we can't go with that. I mean, that's just super silly on an epic level. So, all right, a very sweet call. Thank you, Rachel. Let's go. Again, if you're on the phone and you want to talk to Dr. Dean, please hit *5 on your keypad. I see a lot of new callers. And that usually means you want to talk to Dr. Dean, but you've got to hit *5 on your keypad so I can know that for sure. Let's go to area code 352. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, this is Leah, and I live in Florida. I've called before, and I have a chronic diarrhea problem, so I try every probiotic that I can think of. So in the Dr. Dean's book, I was reading about the pre-assist, what is it called? Probiotic. Prescript assist. And you had recommended that, so I got that, and I've been ordering that. But now I'm wondering, is the Dr. Zach's product better?
Well, Prescript Assist, Rhea, we stopped recommending that because the manufacturer changed their formulation.
Yeah, are you talking about the pea protein?
No, I don't really know, but I know Mike Adams, he analyzed it, and he said there were some, toxic, there's something toxic in it. I mean, I really don't know for sure, but we certainly do not recommend it anymore. But, Rhea, are you taking the Pico Silver for your intestines?
Well, I do, yes. I'm taking everything I can. I've tried all different versions, and then it'll stop for a few days, and I think I'm cured. And then like today, just for no reason, I had the problem again twice, and so then I lose my appetite.
I'm looking at when you called in before, Rhea.
Yes.
You said you were on a thyroid supplement. How much thyroid are you taking?
Well, I take one tablet. I think it's 65 milligrams of Naturethroid or Westroid, either Naturethroid or Westroid. I've been taking that for years, and I don't know where I am on that.
Well, I would like to see what your thyroid blood tests look like, because it could be possible that your thyroid is improving and you've got too much thyroid hormone now with taking that Westroid that will increase your metabolism and can cause diarrhea.
That's a thought I haven't thought about. Okay, well, I'm due to get some. I have some tests, but they're old, so they wouldn't be applicable.
Right. Yeah, because I don't want you to have a situation where you're losing your nutrients through having extra bowel movement.
Oh, yeah.
So check the thyroid. I mean, that's something that, might make some sense there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
I will do that. Thank you so much.
Okay, Rhea. Nice talking to you again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, very good. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Okay, no waving hands, Carolyn. So even though we have lots of new callers, again, *5 on the keypad if you want to talk to, okay, Dr. Dean, here we go. I can always tell when people want to talk to you and they don't know how to raise their hands. Okay, here we go. Area code 941, you're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Did you say 941?
Yes, ma'am.
It is you.
Carol. Hi, Dr. Dean. Hi, Jenny. I've called in before with many issues. I don't know where to begin. Jenny helped me too. I couldn't take the Remag, tolerate the taste of it. Then I was diagnosed with a pancreatic cyst, or walking around 10 days thinking I had pancreatic cancer. I don't have cancer, but they said I've got a duodenal diverticulum, and then they canceled the surgery for this Wednesday to go down there and look. It goes on and on because of my heart issues, and eventually I will get that. But in the meanwhile, if I can quit having diarrhea long enough or gut issues, I'm going to try my best to get down the magnesium. But many, the Remag, I sound like Bob now, many issues come to my mind, like I went and got the RBC magnesium level test, and did I hear you say earlier that wasn't necessary?
Well, I mean, if you go by your symptoms, you can take Remag safely without having to follow it with a blood test. But let's get back to the Remag. Are you using Remag lotion?
Well, I did put that on some. The girls were recommending to do that a lot, but I don't know. I don't know if I thought it'd get in my system and then cause me other problems. I mean, up until 2 days ago, severe gut issues. I just didn't want to end up going back to the ER with all the misreadings at the hospital and all the stuff that's happened to me. I just have been trying to maintain status quo, stay out of pain, thinking I was doing the surgical procedure. But this duodenal, however you pronounce it, diverticulum, I don't know what it is. About the only advice I got was to follow a diverticulitis diet. And then things come up like these people talking about the probiotic. I've known I need to get one of those, so I'll look into Zach Bush's. And then I wondered about a prebiotic with
let's just hang on here a minute. I mean, you've got so much going on. Why don't you just focus on doing a little bit of a few things and sticking with it so that you know at least that's stable? You know, the Remag lotion, take 1 teaspoon and apply that all over your body every day. Done. That's all you do at this point. It is absorbed. If you think 1 teaspoon might be too much, it might be giving you diarrhea. I doubt it very much. You could just start with a half a teaspoon. You really should be taking Realign to help detox, whatever's going on.
Well, I'd never gotten that. I'd gotten all your other line of stuff because of my bad bones. So I've got the Remag, the Remite, I call it cod liver oil, I don't know what. But again, because of all the issues, I hadn't started any of them. And Julie kept telling me, start gradual. Well, I never got started.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm saying the same thing. So tell me what do you want to ask me today?
Well, like I say, a lot of things rolling through my mind, like a prebiotic with such gut issues. I just wondered, should I have a probiotic and a prebiotic until?
Well, don't even. Why? Your mind is way far ahead of your action. You haven't got a prebiotic. You haven't got a probiotic. Start with a probiotic. The Restore that Rhea talked about, I think it was, is a good one. It's the one we recommend until ours comes out. It's a liquid, so you can start with like a 1/4 teaspoon rather than a whole pill that you swallow. So, yeah, there are things you can do, and I'm sure Julie has told you, but you have to start something.
Well, and like I say, I know that, but all this coming up and ended up in emergency, walking around 10 days thinking you got pancreatic cancer when your husband died with it 4 years earlier is a little disconcerting. Never mind, I couldn't take the taste of the Remag, so I was trying to order capsules, and then when you read about them, it said you can't put the liquid ahead of time. So that's why I just never get anywhere. I seem to be stuck on and then you mentioned, the other gal mentioned Pico Silver in the intestines. I don't know. I just want to get stuff healed quickly, and we know Remag isn't going to be quick. It's like you say, these things didn't get like this overnight.
Right.
You have to correct them.
Well, I don't know, Carolyn. I have to pop in on this. I don't think that Remag is quick. Remag's the quickest thing you've got. Remag is the thing that will help you the most right here, right now, that you've got in your possession. And it is quick because it's fully absorbed, and every single cell in your body benefits from using it. And you started out by saying that one of the main complications to your health is that you've got a heart issue. So since every single cell requires it, and every single cell can use it, and you've got heart complications and a digestive issue as a result of not having proper, it doesn't have anything to do with the pre and probiotic. It has to do with having the proper amount of acid in your gut. That's what that's from. So, and you have to have magnesium in order to make the acid in your gut, right, Carolyn? So it seems to me like the best thing you could do would be Remag. And if you put it through your skin, Carol, you're not going to have any digestive complication. None.
Well, I know her. I saw you said, or somebody did, spraying on the other liquid too. If I ran out of the lotion, can can you really put that in a spray bottle and spray the Remag?
You know, before we had Remag lotion, Carol, that's all we ever told anybody to do.
Okay,
Because
I never saw that.
Yeah.
No, I've read a lot of stuff, and that came out just recently from one of you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was me, because I said, don't, take the time to, you can spray it on. But, I just pour it. You should see my hands, too. I have the softest hands in the world. I pour it straight in the palm of my hand. I slap it together like it's, face skin brace or something like, and then I just rub it all over my hips. I rub it all over my abdomen, and that is how I use my Remag every single day. And then at night I take a shot before I go to bed. But I have used Remag topically on my skin for years. It is fantastic, and it absorbs, and my magnesium levels are very high, and it's from using it topically too. So you can trust that process, and then when you start doing it every single day, your body is going to grab that magnesium, and you will find yourself having more energy. You'll find yourself with better balance. You'll find your heart will be recovering. Your brain fog will go away. Your brain function will be improved, because the two organs in the body that use the most magnesium are the brain and the heart.
And the other thing is, Carol, let me just say this. You're expressing the symptoms and just the way, you're expressing yourself. You have post-traumatic stress syndrome. You've been traumatized by this, the wrong diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, what you said going through with your husband dying. You're in massive stress, and you need Remag for your stress. You're stressed out and paralyzed with the stress, and you're not able to take an action. And you're calling in today, and we're telling you the same thing that we've told you before and Julia's told you. And we want to really help you, but we can't be there with you and put the Remag lotion on your skin.
Well, and I can put on the Remag lotion. I just didn't think I'd do as well with that, and then needed...
And you will. Stop second-guessing everything. Don't Google anymore. Don't talk to friends about this. Just listen to what
I don't. I mostly read your stuff, but lately it's been more my real gut issue. I mean, it's a real issue till they go down in there and look, because I still have some kind of a cyst on the duodenum, and I don't understand it. So, yeah, I get to wait for a month because the anesthesiologist was freaked out putting me out because of the SVTs or VTs or whatever it is I have.
Right. And like Ginny said, you get going on your Remag so it will help those ventricular tachycardia.
And that Ginny's wonderful, Dr. Dean. You know that, but she, she jumped right in there and jumped on when I was asking questions and all the stuff. So you guys are fantastic. It's just, trying to figure out where to go with it. Between my bad GERD, talk about acid burn. They've told me take 2 pantoprazole a day, and I was already taking another. So the fact I can't eat, and then I get this and I can't eat, you can't just live on Remag either. So it's just difficult. It's been very difficult.
I know.
Following your rules, I did go. I went and did the RBC magnesium, even though I had to pay for 2 other magnesium tests that doctors ran for the Prolia. Remember, back to my bones.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, it's just gone on and on with me. There's so many stories.
And I know, and you're stressed out with it, and it's just like a gramophone going on in your head about it all. But I insist that you start putting the Remag lotion on and just focusing on getting the metabolism in your body. 80% of your metabolic functions depend on Remag, so you have to get that going. And I'm going to let you go now. But
would that be okay at night, since I don't sleep good either?
Of course, it'll help.
Yeah.
Of course.
And so once a day, a teaspoon, and then more if I can tolerate it, of the lotion.
Exactly. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ginny.
Hey, Carol, you know how to get a hold of Julie. You can call into the radio show any Monday night. We're always here. We're 100% for you, okay?
Thank you. Thank you. You're all great. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, excellent. Let's go to area code 442-442. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, my name's Lori Kunkel.
Hi, Lori.
Hi. I've been on the Remite program. I was on the full body stuff for 6 months, but now I'm at 17 months on Remag and Remite. A lot of stuff going on. But the question I have is something that keeps going back through my mind, and I thought this would be a good question, is when I was 14, I got really sick, and I had the old mercury thermometers, and I was bored or whatever, and it broke, and it went across my floor, and I played with these little beautiful silver balls that flew all over the floor, and I'm by myself. And so I always wonder in the back of my head if, that was a lot of mercury.
Yeah, right.
And
when they break a mercury thermometer now in a school classroom, they bring people in with hazmat suits on to clear it up.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I had that, and I've had even before that, I wouldn't say I had a good, strong constitution, but I've definitely struggled a lot with unwellness. And I just
Have you had a hair analysis?
Yeah, I've done all that with a pretty well-known guy, too, and did that for a few years, followed his program. I do the near-infrared saunas, and, not much came up in the metals. It's just all, like you said, it floats around. And this was before Remag. Mm-hmm. He has his whole supplements from his mentor that he recommends, and I did a lot of the Cal Mag type things, but I didn't feel anything. And I've megadosed all the different types of magnesium from other companies and never felt anything. And
Right.
Your Remag, I believe in your program, so I'm still going.
So
but I just wonder if I'm just stirring up the old, what if my hair's all falling out and I don't really get much better? What if it's, this is so good and so powerful that the mercury's trying to work its way out?
It's possible, but what you would do is another hair analysis to see if it's coming out of storage. Because, the body will hide mercury and heavy metals away, especially in bones. And when the bones turn over or when you're detoxifying, we know that the Remag and the Realign do help detoxify and can bring things to the surface. You'd have to have another hair analysis, but then the other. How old are you, Lori?
I'm 61.
Right. The other thing I'm kind of wondering about is, just sort of the total biology aspect of what you're going through, because, I suppose you would be kind of diagnosed a bit of chronic fatigue syndrome and
that's what they call it, right? Because they don't know.
They don't know, right?
But decades ago, I used to tell the doctor I have fatigue that doesn't stop.
Yeah.
That's how I described it before they had words for it.
Right. And what we learned in total biology about chronic fatigue, and I've said this before, you probably haven't heard it, but the analogy is sheep on a hill, and there's a little black sheep that goes off by itself, and it doesn't notice that the flock has moved, and then he can't see the flock. As soon as he realizes he's not in contact with the flock, it's a red alert. He can go in 4 directions, but he may run the wrong way and meet a predator. When he becomes aware that he has lost his flock, the biological brain sends a message to shut down his adrenals, and the sheep falls down. The flock has a code that when they realize someone is missing, the oldest sheep looks around, and from their pineal gland sends out a message that beams to the missing sheep. And the beam reaches the missing sheep, the adrenal glands are activated, and the beam acts like a homing signal. So this is the analogy of chronic fatigue syndrome, where an individual that feels lost, feels outside of their flock, feels like they're black sheep in the family, not a part of the group, lost their direction in life, they kind of collapse until, they can be brought back. I'm not asking you to interact with that, but just to say that, there's this element with chronic fatigue where the adrenals are collapsed, where, nothing and nobody is helping. And, I just wonder perhaps if having some conversations with Dr. Holt about the total biology of how you're trying so hard to be healthy and be well. You've tried everything, and nothing is working. And do you think that would be helpful for you to kind of get at the conflict of why you have the chronic illness?
Well, of course, I totally agree with you. I have heard that before. It's beautiful. It makes me want to cry because I know it's very accurate to my experience in my whole life. Earlier today, I was just saying, as a kid, or in my mind, as a kid, I felt like I was next to a railroad track and the train's going by really fast, and I can see all the people in there, but I can never get on the train. And so, yeah, there's definitely a deep loneliness that I've dealt with, and I've done a ton of all the different types of therapies and 12-step programs, and now I'm doing a lot of different types. I've done a lot of different types of meditation. Now I'm with a meditation I like, and I'm learning this person. I don't know if it's okay if I say, but anyway, the way he spoke was so loving that I'm learning the language of love, and it's warming my heart up and helping me a lot calm down. I can tell now, like, my heart rate's going down a little bit, but I just know Mercury was just in there a long time, and then I know it's a very toxic thing, and I keep doing so much good stuff for myself. Maybe why I don't get better is it's just going to take a long time to get the Mercury out, but I will continue. Don't know about working with Dr. Holt, but I do have work from that angle of being very aware of my isolation and my loneliness. So thank you for that story. It's beautiful.
Of course, Lori. And we can send you the FAQ on total biology and German new medicine, so, with websites and books and whatever. So, I mean, you don't necessarily have to do a consult, but it's part of, it can be part of what you're working through anyway. And, yes, I would agree that just to continuing on the Remag, I would also get the Realign.
Yes, I'm on that too. I forgot I'm on that.
Oh, good for you. And yes, it does take time. I mean, heaven forbid, mercury and lead, some people say it takes 20 years to get rid of lead toxicity. But see, the fact is your hair analysis did not show that they were terribly elevated, so that's good. But it may be just low-grade, deeply stored, it's slowly coming out, and it keeps sort of a certain level of irritation and toxicity in your system. But
my detox was so low that all these decades it was just building up, because I was a shallow breathing, non-sweating, constipated person, and sympathetic dominant. So where could it go?
Yes. Yeah, and so knowing all that, I mean, you have the insight of what's going on, and if there can be a level of patience about your physical where you say, okay, I'm slowly detoxing, I'm doing all the right things, whereas not getting, too overly involved. At least you're taking action, and you're, it's a matter of now being patient as you work through the conflict.
Yeah, I have a few friends that have stuck it out with me just because I am so persistent and I don't give up. So I have overdone it in the department of being just persistent and trying too hard. And with this language of love, there's a little bit of the ability to rest a little bit now and try to back off of the intensity of I've got to fix my unwellness. I've got to fix Lori,
Right. Yes, I try to reach out about that with my blog called Lying Down Therapy. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I do a lot of lying down. The fatigue definitely,
yeah.
And it took all the cream off the top of my life's opportunities and gifts I came here to give, but I still have hope, and I know your program is a big part of that, and I appreciate that too.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we're here for you anytime you want to call in or call customer service or email through customer service to me if there's anything I can do to help. We're here.
Well, I've been listening to your radio show for a while and hearing you and Ginny talk, and you're very inspiring and keep me going, and I'm glad I finally got to talk to you on the phone. So it was
that's
nice
awesome.
to talk to you.
Okay, Lori, thank you so much.
Thank you, too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What a sweetheart. What a sweetheart. What a dear. Okay, let's go out. We've got, I think, one more time for a quick phone call to area code 419 Ohio. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, my name is Martha.
Hi, Martha.
And, hi. Sorry if I'm kind of slow. I've been really ill for about 3 years now, and I'm mostly bedridden. But a dear friend of mine told me about your products because she has been able to heal from Lyme disease and her fatigue. And so I have been diagnosed with chronic neurological Lyme, the co-infections, Epstein-Barr, major adrenal issues. I was sick while I was pregnant, and then I gave birth a little over 2 years ago, and instantly my body just went into a downward spiral, and I've been mainly bedridden ever since. Use of my legs being very weak and not always working, loss of speech, lots of neurological symptoms. And basically it seems like what it came down to is I had some Lyme treatment, and now my naturopath feels like I've been to many doctors and specialists. I also have structural issues, Chiari and spondylolisthesis. And generally, looking back now, over the years, I was diagnosed with mono, Hashimoto's, just different, things, and would get better. But now I've been very desperate, and so I tried the Remag. I started out with it, and I guess I should just tell you, basically I deal with leg weakness and twitches, major fatigue to where I can't even speak. I get a lot of neuro fatigue, severe head and neck pain, very shaky. It'll feel like my body's shutting down, brain zaps. And I've also been diagnosed with POTS syndrome because my cells don't absorb any hydration, is what I've been tested for. I guess my question is I've called in, a couple of times to your helpline and stuff because I started the Remag, and then it seemed like it was going well, and then all my brain neurological symptoms got much worse. And and then I added in the Remite, thinking, just stay on it because I've been through a lot of treatment, so I know, sometimes you have to just get past the hard part. But I have tried 3 or 4 times to take the Remag, and my system won't tolerate it no matter how low I go. And I've asked my naturopath about it, and she's like, the only thing I can think is because I've become very sensitive to any supplements at all. And my detox pathways, they didn't work on those before they did my first line treatment. So she feels like they basically poisoned my system. So now I've become very, I can't handle any sort of treatment, hardly any supplements.
Right.
And I just don't know how to go about. I know I need the magnesium.
Sure. Well, it's horrible what you're going through. That's for sure. We have, we certainly have heard these horrible stories before, and what seems to work, and maybe you have done this, maybe customer service has told you this, is some people, it's 1 drop of Remag in their drinking water through the day, and they just start with that. And the last person I remember, she said it took her months to work up, but she's now on 3 teaspoons a day from just the 1 drop. And it's exactly as you say, things shut down, the body almost goes into shock, and it's like, don't give me anything because it's going to stir things up. But if you can possibly just, maintain your courage about starting with 1 drop in your drinking water, and every week just adding a 2nd drop, and not, the detoxing, the Herxheimers and all that. We hope that will not happen because you're going slow enough. The other thing that I would say maybe to start with is to get a homeopathic magnesium, because if your body has kind of given up on everything, a homeopathic magnesium will remind it that magnesium is its friend. And I don't know if your practitioner works with homeopathy or if you've
she does Death Bio products. I'm not sure if you're...
Sure.
She has me on the electrolyte ones, which has the minerals in it, because I told her, how I haven't been able to handle it. So she said, well, maybe we should try with, like a homeopathic form first.
Right, exactly.
Because I love, by the way, I just want to say that I love your protein. Love your protein powder. I haven't been able to tolerate a lot of foods at times, and I'm able to tolerate that, and it's so tasty, and we all love it. So I just want to compliment you on that for sure. But I'm just very beach.
Yeah,
the other thing I'm dealing with lately is I get extreme, and I don't know if it's a histamine issue or hormonal, but it'll feel like someone just suddenly poured hot lava through my entire body. Like my brain feels on fire, my eyes, my organs. And sometimes it will last for like 3 days, and no one's basically they're not really sure, is it a histamine issue? Is it, is it an estrogen issue? It's just, I'm one of those puzzled patients, they're not sure.
Yeah, and I don't like to, at all make light of what those symptoms are, but it is a magnesium deficiency symptom. Any sort of burning, tingling, anything like that. Histamine, yes, but magnesium is an antihistamine. If we can get you saturated and with the homeopathic, if you could ask your doctor, your naturopath, about Mag Phos. I know you say you're on the homeopathic electrolyte, but even just a straight Mag Phos to remind your body that magnesium is its friend and sort of open things up. The example that I tell people is that in arsenic poisoning, they've done studies with mice where they give...
By the way, I have very high arsenic.
Yeah, well, So they give mice the arsenic. The urine is empty of arsenic. They give arsenic homeopathic to half the mice, and they start excreting arsenic. So the homeopathics are meant to remind the body of what needs to be done. And if you're good with homeopathy, then you could get at some of your toxicity and everything. But I'm just being very basic and simple. 1 drop of Remag in your drinking water, and work with your doctor on homeopathic magnesium. Okay?
Okay. Yes, I have tried the 1 drop, so I'm just hoping maybe now that if I try this homeopathic.
Yes.
Now, are you is a person usually as sensitive to the Remite as they are the Remag?
No.
If I have this issue?
Not in my experience unless they've had a lot of iodine, taken high dose of iodine or had iodine testing. And Martha, we're coming up to the top of the hour, so if you want to follow up through customer service or call back next week or email me through customer service, I'd be happy to correspond with you, okay?
All right. Thank you, Dr. Carolyn. I appreciate you.
Okay, Martha. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Great show, Carolyn.
Yeah, very good show today. Very good show.
That's because you were on, right,
Yep.
Bob?
Yep.
Bob was on.
Yep.
Bye, Ginny. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, listeners.
You're here.
AchieveRadio.com.